From the ashes, the Deep Space Station Remembrance hung silently against the backdrop of a crimson nebula, its presence masked by specialized radiation-absorbing materials that rendered it invisible to standard sensors. Inside, Admiral Alina Reyes stood before the massive viewport, her weathered face illuminated by the distant stars. At 62, she had never seen Earth. No living human had, but like all children of the Exodus, she'd grown up with the stories. 3,000 years ago, the Galactic Council had deemed humanity too dangerous to exist. They had called Earth's inhabitants unpredictable, aggressive, and evolutionarily divergent. In truth, humans had simply refused to submit to the Council's rigid control. The punishment had been swift and absolute, a quantum displacement wave that had erased Earth from existence in mere moments. Only those already in deep space colonies had survived. 30,000 souls who became the seed of humanity's silent revenge. Admiral, the final test is complete. Dr. Arjun Mehta's voice drew Alina from her contemplation. Project Phoenix is operational. She turned to face him, her dark eyes reflecting decades of careful planning. Show me. The central command chamber of remembrance was filled with holographic displays showing quantum calculations and energy readings. Arjun gestured toward the central projection, a small, unassuming device that pulsed with a strange blue light. The quantum fold drive, he said, a hint of pride breaking through his professional demeanor. It allows our ships to travel through subspace, completely undetectable by conventional sensors. And the weapons systems? Alina asked. The phase disruptors work on the same principle. They bypass shields entirely, targeting the molecular bonds of the target directly. Alina studied the data scrolling before her. For 3 millennia, humanity had hidden in the shadows of dead stars and uninhabited systems, building their strength, advancing their technology, and waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves. How many vessels can we equip? The entire Phoenix fleet is ready for immediate conversion, Arjun replied. 200 warships and support vessels. 200 ships against the thousands controlled by the Galactic Council. The odds were overwhelming, but humans had always excelled at beating impossible odds. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Maya Chen called from her monitoring station. I think you should see this. A new hologram appeared, intercepted communications from across Council space. Reports of unrest, of species beginning to question the Council's authority. The Nexari, crystalline beings from the Outer Rim, had openly defied a Council edict. The Drav Collective, once the Council's most loyal enforcers, were withdrawing their forces from multiple sectors. They're weakening, Alina observed. 3,000 years of oppression is finally taking its toll. There's more, Maya continued. Our deep cover operatives report the Council is facing an energy crisis. The quantum matrices they use to power their civilization are becoming unstable. Arjun's eyes widened. The same technology they used to destroy Earth. Poetic justice, Alina said softly. Their weapon of genocide will be their undoing. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. For generations, humanity had planned for this moment, waiting, watching, preparing. Now the window of opportunity had finally appeared. Alina straightened, her decision made. Inform the Colonial Congress. Project Phoenix is moving to active status. She turned to her officers. We've hidden long enough. It's time to remind the galaxy why the Council feared us so much they tried to wipe us from existence. Within hours, the representatives of humanity's 12 hidden colonies had gathered via a secure quantum link. Alina presented the evidence of the Council's weakening grip and the readiness of the Phoenix fleet. Colonial Governor Takeda, the eldest of the representatives, spoke first. 3,000 years we have waited. 3,000 years of exile, of hiding, of passing down our hatred for the Council from generation to generation. His aged face was solemn. Are we truly ready to reveal ourselves? Dr. Mehta displayed the schematics for the quantum fold technology. We've advanced beyond anything the Council possesses. Their complacency has made them stagnant, while our struggle for survival has forced us to innovate. And if we fail? Asked Governor Santos of the Europa colony. If we reveal ourselves and are defeated, this time there will be no survivors. Humanity will truly be extinct. Elena moved to the center of the holographic gathering. For 3 millennia, we've lived as ghosts. Is that truly living? Our ancestors didn't save those 30,000 people just so we could hide forever. They saved them so that one day humanity could reclaim its place in the galaxy. She paused, looking at each representative in turn. And more importantly, so we could ensure no other species suffers Earth's fate. The chamber erupted in debate. Some counseled further patience, others immediate action. In the end, it was Maya Chen who silenced the arguments with a simple data transmission. This was intercepted 3 hours ago. She explained as a new hologram formed. A council session discussing the final solution for the rebellious Nexari. The same euphemism they had used for Earth 3,000 years earlier. The decision was unanimous after that. Humanity would reveal itself, not just for revenge, but to prevent history from repeating itself. As the Colonial Congress adjourned, Elena returned to the viewport. In the distance, barely visible to the naked eye, the Phoenix fleet was assembling. Sleek, predatory vessels with technology the Council couldn't imagine. 3,000 years, she whispered to herself. The Council thought they'd eliminated the human threat. Instead, they created something far worse. Humans with a purpose. 2 weeks later, Operation Phoenix began. The human fleet, cloaked by their quantum fold drives, moved undetected through Council space. Their target was Arcturus Station, the central hub of the Council's early warning network. If they could blind the Council, the next phase of the plan could proceed. Admiral Rice stood on the bridge of the flagship Prometheus, watching as they passed within kilometers of a Council patrol fleet. The Council vessels, massive and bristling with conventional weapons, didn't register the slightest anomaly as the human ships glided silently past them. Approaching Arcturus Station, the navigator announced, "Quantum fold stable. We remain undetected." Elena studied the mammoth structure on the main screen. Arcturus was a testament to the Council's power. A space station the size of a small moon, coordinating sensor data from across half the galaxy. "Deploy strike teams," she ordered. "Remember, we want control of the station before they can alert the Council." Special Forces teams, equipped with personal quantum fold devices, transported directly onto the station, bypassing its formidable defenses. The Council security forces never stood a chance. Within minutes, critical sections of the station were under human control. Commander Ishiro Tanaka, leading the main strike team, reported in from Arcturus's control center. "Admiral, we've secured the primary systems. Uploading the Phoenix protocol now." On the bridge of the Prometheus, Elena watched as the Phoenix protocol, a virus designed to rewrite the station's programming, began its work. Across Council space, monitoring systems went dark. Defense platforms turned on their controllers. Communication networks began broadcasting a single message in every known language. "Remember Earth." The Council's response was immediate and chaotic. Ships scrambled from defensive positions, desperately trying to understand what was happening. On a dozen worlds, subjugated species saw the Council's confusion and seized their chance, rising up in coordinated rebellions that had been secretly encouraged by human operatives for decades. As the Council's carefully maintained order began to crumble, Elena addressed her fleet. 3,000 years ago, the Council decided humanity was too dangerous to exist. Today, we proved them right. Her voice carried to every ship, resolute and unwavering. But we fight not just for our lost homeworld. We fight for every species that has suffered under Council rule, for every world they've threatened with extinction. The Phoenix fleet decloaked around Arcturus Station, revealing themselves to the galaxy for the first time since Earth's destruction. The message was clear. Humanity had returned, and the Council's days were numbered. Breaking chains. High Counselor Zyvex stood in the Council's emergency chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing chaos spreading across the galactic territories. The crystalline being's normally ordered thought patterns were fractured with disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered, his translator rendering the complex harmonic sounds into standard speech. "They were eradicated. We confirmed the extinction ourselves." First Minister Tala, representative of the avian Corvani, spread her wing arms in agitation. "Evidently not, Counselor. The humans not only survived, they've advanced beyond our scientific understanding." Arcturus Station, their primary defense coordination hub, had been compromised 12 standard days ago. Since then, Council authority had collapsed in 17 systems. Reports indicated that the humans were providing advanced weapons and tactical support to rebel factions throughout Council space. "The Nexeri have declared independence," reported Security Director Malak, the massive reptilian scrolling through incoming data. "They've deployed weapons of human design that our shields cannot stop. The Drav Collective has withdrawn from the Cassiopeia sector entirely," added another counselor. "And the humans?" demanded Zyvex. Malak hesitated before answering. "They appear and disappear at will. Our sensors cannot track their ships. They strike key installations, then vanish before our response fleets arrive." The emergency chamber fell silent. For 3 millennia, the Council had maintained order through technological superiority and the fear inspired by Earth's fate. Now both advantages were neutralized. "We must negotiate," suggested First Minister Tala. "Negotiate." Zyvex's crystalline form vibrated with outrage. "With a species that has declared open war on us. A species whose very cognitive architecture makes them inherently dangerous to galactic stability. A species that has just demonstrated they are now technologically superior to us." Tala countered. "The humans aren't just fighting for revenge. They're liberating oppressed worlds. Half our subject species see them as heroes." Security Director Malak interrupted the brewing argument. "New intelligence, counselors. We've identified the location of a human outpost in the Cygnus Void. It appears to be a forward operating base for their fleet." Zyvex's crystalline structure brightened. "Then we strike immediately. Marshal every available ship. We must show the galaxy that challenging the Council leads only to destruction." 20 hours later, the largest Council armada assembled in 500 years emerged from faster-than-light travel near the Cygnus Void. 300 capital ships and their escorts formed a battle sphere around the coordinates of the supposed human outpost, a small space station orbiting the dwarf star. Admiral Kren, commander of the Armada, was perplexed by the lack of defenses. "Scan again," he ordered his sensor officers. "Where is their fleet?" "No vessels detected, Admiral," came the reply. "The station appears minimally defended." Too easy, thought Kren, but orders were orders. Begin the approach. All weapons locked on the station. As the Council fleet moved forward, space itself seemed to ripple around them. Suddenly, alarm klaxons blared across the command deck. "Multiple signatures appearing everywhere," shouted the sensor officer. "They're all around us." The human fleet had been there all along, their quantum-fold technology concealing them perfectly. Now they deactivated their cloaking systems, revealing 200 warships already within the Council formation. Before the Council fleet could react, phase disruptors fired. The weapons bypassed shields completely, targeting critical systems with surgical precision. Within moments, half the Council vessels were disabled, their engines and weapons offline. On the Prometheus, Admiral Reyes watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "Broadcast on all Council frequencies," she ordered. Her image appeared on every command deck in the surviving Council fleet. "This is Admiral Elena Reyes of the Human Defense Force. Your ships have been disabled, not destroyed. We could have annihilated your entire fleet, but unlike the Council, we don't practice genocide." She paused, letting the message sink in. 3,000 years ago, You deemed humanity too dangerous to exist. Today, we offer your crews the same choice you never gave Earth: surrender or flee. Either way, the Council's reign of terror ends now." Admiral Kren stared at the human woman on his display, fury and fear warring within him. His ancestors had participated in Earth's destruction. The historical record spoke of humanity's dangerous unpredictability, their refusal to conform to galactic norms, their alarming rate of technological advancement. Yet here they were, 3 millennia later, proving those ancient fears correct, and showing mercy where the Council had shown none. "Orders, Admiral," his executive officer asked. Kren made his decision. "Signal all vessels. Stand down weapons. Prepare for evacuation protocols." As escape pods launched from the disabled Council ships, carrying their crews to safety, news of the Council's defeat spread across the galaxy. On 100 worlds, populations that had lived under Council oppression for millennia saw proof that the invincible Galactic Council could be beaten. The rebellion, once limited to a few outer systems, exploded into a full-scale revolution. On Nexari Prime, crystalline beings who had suffered under Council resource extraction policies for centuries overthrew their governors, aided by human advisors and technology. The Drav Collective, once the Council's enforcers, announced their neutrality and began secret negotiations with human diplomats. Even the Corvani, represented on the Council itself, saw protests in their major cities, demanding an end to the alliance with an organization that practiced genocide. 2 months after Operation Phoenix began, representatives from 27 species gathered aboard the Remembrance Station. Some, like the crystalline Nexari and the silicon-based Lithosians, had already declared independence from the Council. Others, like the Corvani and the aquatic Melosians, were still officially aligned with the Council, but were exploring alternatives. Elena surveyed the gathering with cautious optimism. Building a coalition of species with different biologies, psychologies, and interests was challenging, but the shared desire for freedom from Council dominance provided common ground. "The Council has controlled the galaxy for 10,000 years," she addressed the assembly. "They've suppressed technological advancement, restricted interspecies contact, and enforced their will through the threat of annihilation. Earth wasn't their first genocide, just their most complete." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathering. "Humanity has remained hidden for 3,000 years, advancing our technology and building our strength. Now we offer that strength to all who wish to build a galaxy based on cooperation rather than subjugation." Nixel, the Nexari representative, stepped forward, her crystalline body refracting light in complex patterns that supplemented her translated speech. "The humans have provided us with defensive technology that has allowed us to repel 3 Council invasion attempts. They ask nothing in return except that we, in turn, help others gain their freedom. They are as the ancient prophecies foretold," rumbled Grothar of the Lithosians, his stone-like features impassive but his voice reverent. "The forgotten ones who would return to break the crystal dominion." Elena smiled slightly at that. Human intelligence had discovered those ancient prophecies had been composed barely 50 years earlier by a Lithosian resistance writer. But if it helped cement the alliance, she wouldn't correct the record. The gathering continued for days, as species with ancient grudges and cultural incompatibilities attempted to forge a united front against the Council. Throughout it all, human diplomats trained in xenopsychology and cultural integration worked tirelessly to bridge differences and build consensus. Finally, a formal coalition was established, the Free Species Alliance. Its first unified military action would target the Council's strongest remaining fortress, the Helix Citadel in the Orion Spur. If it fell, the route to the Council homeworld itself would be open. As the representatives departed to prepare their forces, Maya Chen approached Elena privately. "They're calling it the Human Liberation," she said. "Across 1,000 worlds, we're becoming a symbol of resistance." Elena gazed out at the assembled alien fleet, now incorporating vessels from a dozen species alongside the Phoenix ships. "Our ancestors would be proud," she replied. "Earth died so the rest of the galaxy could live free." 3 weeks later, the largest multi-species fleet ever assembled dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Helix Citadel. Human vessels with their quantum fold technology led the assault, appearing directly inside the Citadel's defensive perimeter. Nexari crystal ships followed, their regenerating hulls absorbing punishment that would have destroyed conventional vessels. Lithosian dreadnoughts, practically indestructible, provided covering fire for the smaller, more agile Corvani strike craft. On the Prometheus, Admiral Reyes coordinated the assault, using the superior sensor technology of the human vessels to direct the Allied fleet. "Nexari Squadron, focus on their power relays," she ordered. "Corvani strikers, target their communication arrays. Lithosian dreadnoughts, move to position Alpha and prepare for the main assault." The Council defenders fought desperately, but they were facing technology they couldn't counter and tactics they had never encountered. Species they had kept divided for millennia were now fighting with coordinated precision, sharing strengths and covering each other's vulnerabilities. As the Alliance forces breached the Citadel's inner defenses, Council resistance collapsed. The fortress that had stood for 5,000 years, the symbol of Council military might in the Orion Spur, surrendered after just 8 hours of battle. The news spread faster than any fleet could travel. Half the remaining Council worlds declared independence within days. Council military vessels defected to the Alliance by the dozens. The path to the Council homeworld was open, and the final confrontation awaited. New Dawn, the Council homeworld, Centralis, orbited a binary star system at the galaxy's core. For 10,000 years, it had been the seat of power for the Galactic Council, a place where few non-Council species were permitted to set foot. Its defenses were legendary: multiple planetary shield systems, automated defense platforms, and the largest concentration of Council warships in the galaxy. Now it stood as the last bastion of a dying empire. 3/4 of Council space had declared allegiance to the Free Species Alliance. The quantum fold technology provided by humanity had rendered most Council defensive systems obsolete. The Council's only remaining advantage was concentration of force. They had gathered their surviving fleet around Centralis in a last desperate stand. On the flagship Prometheus, Admiral Alina Reyes studied the tactical projections with her senior staff and Allied commanders. The combined Alliance fleet was impressive. Over 1,000 vessels from 32 species, united by the common cause of ending Council rule forever. Their defensive formation is designed to counter conventional attack vectors, observed Nixel, the Nexari commander, her crystalline form pulsing with tactical calculations. But they still cannot detect our quantum fold signatures. "We could bypass their entire fleet, strike directly at the surface," suggested Grothar of the Lithosians. Delina shook her head. "That's what they're expecting. It's why they've reinforced the planetary shields beyond anything we've encountered before. Even our phase disruptors would struggle to penetrate." She manipulated the holographic display, highlighting the massive energy signatures emanating from Centralis. "There's something else. These readings suggest they're powering up a weapon system using the same quantum displacement technology they used on Earth. If they can't win, they intend to take as many of us with them as possible." The Allied commanders fell silent, considering the implications. The Council, facing defeat, was preparing a doomsday weapon. "Then we must strike now, before it's fully operational," said First Minister Tala. The Corvani had officially broken from the Council a month earlier, bringing their formidable intelligence network to the Alliance. "Not directly," Alina replied. She adjusted the display, zooming in on a specific section of the Centralis defense grid. "We've identified a vulnerability. The quantum matrices they're using to power the weapon are inherently unstable. It's why they've never been able to fully replicate our fold technology, despite capturing several of our vessels." She highlighted a series of power conduits connecting the weapon system to Centralis's main energy grid. "If we can overload these junctions, we can create a cascade failure that will disable both their shields and the weapon. A small strike team, said Commander Eiichiro Tanaka, who had led the initial assault on Arcturus Station, using personal quantum fold devices to infiltrate the facility. Elena nodded. Precisely. While the main fleet engages their defense forces, drawing attention away from the power grid, the strike team makes the surgical strike. The plan was approved unanimously. The operation would commence in 12 hours, enough time for the strike team to prepare and for the fleet to move into its final positions. As the commanders dispersed, Dr. Arjun Mehta approached Elena privately. "There's something you need to see," he said, his expression troubled. "We've decrypted more of the Council's classified archives from Helix Citadel." In her private quarters, Elena reviewed the data Arjun had recovered. The information confirmed what human intelligence had long suspected, but never been able to prove. Earth's destruction had not been simply about controlling a potentially dangerous species. The Council had discovered something about Earth itself, something that had terrified them. Humanity's homeworld had been sitting on a quantum fault line, a rare cosmic phenomenon that naturally amplified certain types of energy. The Council's scientists had theorized that given enough time, humans would discover this property and learn to harness it, potentially gaining power that could challenge the Council's dominance. They didn't destroy Earth because of what we were, Elena realized. They destroyed it because of what we might become. The revelation only strengthened her resolve. Hours later, as the Alliance fleet prepared for the final battle, she addressed the combined forces. "Today we fight not just for vengeance, but for the future. The Council has maintained its power by keeping species divided, by suppressing advancement, by ruling through fear. Together, we've proven that their power was always built on illusion." Her voice carried to human and alien crews alike. 3,000 years ago, they tried to erase humanity from existence. Instead, they created the very thing they feared most: a humanity tempered by exile, strengthened by hardship, and driven by an unquenchable thirst for justice. As her words echoed across the fleet, the massive armada began its approach to Centralis. The Council's defense forces responded immediately, thousands of warships moving to intercept. The battle that followed was the largest the galaxy had ever witnessed. Alliance vessels, employing human quantum fold technology, appeared and disappeared across the battlefield, striking with devastating precision before vanishing again. Nexari crystal ships absorbed enormous punishment, their regenerating hulls glowing with stored energy that they redirected as weapons fire. Lithosian dreadnoughts provided immovable anchors around which the more agile species coordinated their attacks. Meanwhile, cloaked by the chaos of the main battle, a small assault craft carrying Commander Tanaka and his strike team slipped through the Council defenses. Using personal quantum fold devices, they transported directly into the power regulation facility that supplied energy to both the planetary shields and the quantum displacement weapon. Council security forces were waiting. They had anticipated this vulnerability, but they had never faced soldiers equipped with personal quantum fold technology. The human strike team seemed to flicker in and out of existence, appearing behind defensive positions, striking, then vanishing again before counterattacks could connect. On the Prometheus, Elena monitored both the main battle and the strike team's progress. "They've reached the primary junction," Tanaka reported. "Planting quantum charges now. All Alliance vessels, prepare for shield collapse," Elena broadcast to the fleet. "Maneuvering units, move to secondary attack positions." The charges detonated, creating a quantum resonance that cascaded through the Centralis power grid. Across the planet, systems failed as the carefully balanced energy distribution network collapsed. The planetary shields flickered and died. The half-completed quantum displacement weapon went dark. In orbit, Council vessels suddenly found themselves without coordinated fire control or tactical support from the planetary defense grid. The battle quickly turned from a desperate holding action to a rout. Council ships began to surrender in waves. "Admiral," Maya Chen called from her station, "we're receiving a direct transmission from the Council chamber. They're requesting terms." Elena's expression remained impassive, but her mind raced. For 3,000 years, humanity had dreamed of this moment. The Council at their mercy. The temptation for absolute retribution was powerful. The main viewer activated, showing the council chamber on Centralis. High Counselor Zyvex and the remaining council members stood amid emergency lighting, their once impressive chamber now humbled by failing technology. The council acknowledges defeat, Zyvex stated formally. We seek terms to end hostilities and prevent further bloodshed. Elena studied the alien being who represented the authority that had destroyed her ancestral homeworld. 3,000 years of hatred, of planning revenge, crystallized in this moment. Your terms are unconditional surrender, she replied eventually. The Galactic Council as an entity will be dissolved. All council worlds will be given the opportunity for self-determination, to join the alliance or to govern themselves independently. She paused, then continued with the hardest part. There will be no genocide, no planetary destruction. Unlike the Council, we do not erase entire species from existence, but those responsible for ordering and executing atrocities will face justice under laws agreed upon by all Alliance species. Zyvex's crystalline form dimmed slightly, a sign of resignation. And what of Centralis itself? It will become the headquarters of the new Galactic Alliance, a place where all species meet as equals. Elena's voice was firm but not vindictive. The age of council dominance is over. The age of cooperation begins. 2 weeks later, representatives from over 50 species gathered in the former council chamber on Centralis. The formal signing of the Galactic Alliance Charter marked the official end of council rule and the beginning of a new era. Elena, as the representative of humanity, was asked to speak first. She stood before the diverse gathering, aware of the historic significance of the moment. 3,000 years ago, humanity was nearly erased from existence. We survived through determination, ingenuity, and an unwavering belief that someday we would reclaim our place in the galaxy. She looked across the assembled representatives. But in our long exile, we learned that true strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. Not from fear, but from mutual respect. She gestured to the charter displayed before them. This document enshrines the principles that will guide our new alliance. Self-determination for all species, shared technological advancement, mutual defense, and a solemn pledge that never again will any species face extinction for challenging the status quo. As Elena concluded her address, Dr. Arjun Mehta approached with news from the exploration teams examining the ruins of the Council's quantum displacement facility. We've confirmed it, he said quietly. The Council's scientists were trying to replicate our quantum fold technology, but they fundamentally misunderstood the principles. If they had activated their weapon, it would have created a chain reaction that could have destroyed half the galaxy. Elena absorbed this information solemnly. Then it seems humanity didn't just save itself. We saved everyone. Later, standing at a viewport overlooking Centralis, Elena watched ships from dozens of species moving freely through the space that had once been restricted to council vessels alone. Maya Chen joined her, offering a data tablet. The first survey teams have located it, Maya said. The quantum fault line that ran through Earth's solar system. It's still there, even though the planet is gone. Elena studied the readings. Can we use it? Perhaps someday. To rebuild Earth? Maya asked. The quantum physicists think it might be theoretically possible, given enough time and energy. The fault line maintains a kind of memory of what once existed there. For the first time in 3,000 years, humanity could look to the future with hope rather than hatred. The long exile was over. The revenge that had driven generations was complete. Now came the harder task, building something better than what had been destroyed. Not yet, Elena decided, returning the tablet. We have a galaxy to rebuild first. Earth can wait a little longer. As the Galactic Alliance took its first steps into a new era, humanity found itself in an unexpected position, not just as the destroyer of the old order, but as the architect of the new. The species the Council had feared most had indeed changed the galaxy forever, not through conquest, but by uniting the divided, freeing the oppressed, and offering a vision of cooperation that transcended ancient hatreds. 3,000 years after Earth's destruction, humanity had not just survived, they had transformed the galaxy itself.